Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to go ahead and do a library haul for the month of February. We are wrapping up our big unit study for the month of February, and I've already started planning for March. And so I wanted to go ahead and get this video up so I can show you the books that we read. I kind of posted some of them over on Instagram, but I didn't post them all. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I said at the beginning of the month, beginning of February, that we were going to study Afro-Latinos. And the way I did it for this month is that I let my son pick two influential Afro-Latinos that he wanted to study. And he chose Cecilia Cruz, and he studied Pele, the king of soccer. And we learned all about Cuba. We learned all about Brazil. This is probably our second trip to Brazil because we studied Brazil last year around this time more in depth. And so that's one reason why he kind of remembered Pele, because we kind of touched on Pele last year. And so those were the two influential people that we did study for the month of February. And we also concentrated on books that were heavily influenced with Afro-Latinos within the books. And so I was able to get a nice selection of books. I got one book that was kind of Caribbean focused, but he wanted it, so I went ahead and got that one. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into this. And so you can kind of see what we read. Oh, we did read another influential person that we did read. We read about Sonia Sotomayor, and he really did like this. And I personally really love this I Am series of books. And the reason why I love this series of books is because I love the fact that they're written in a graphic style of a book. And my son loves anything that is written like this. If you follow me, you know that we read a lot of books that are written on this type of writing plan. Because he loves the graphic novel part. So in this book, we got a chance to talk about Puerto Rico. And we got a chance to talk about Sonia. We got to talk about how she became the United States Court Justice. We talked about, her life as a kid. And so there is a new book that we're probably going to read in the month of May about her. We're probably going to do the audiobook for Hispanic Heritage Month. And so we'll be seeing Sonia again in May. So we read, what is this called? My Feet Are Laughing. This is a very cute book. The illustrator in this book is, of course, Frank Morrison. I love Frank Morrison. Anything that he does is just absolutely beautiful. His illustrations are just, just look at that. What else can I say? So this book is kind of written in like a poetry type form, but I will tell you that I really did appreciate the way the author one highlighted that the girls in this book's parents are from the Dominican Republic and how they embrace their culture. I will also say that I appreciated the fact that even though in the story it says that the mom and dad are not together anymore, they don't live in the same house, it shows the parents in a very positive light doing very good co-parenting. So if you're in that type of situation and you're looking for a good book to show co-parenting in a positive light, this is a great book for you to take a look at. And again, the name of this book is My Feet Are Laughing, and it is by Lisette Norman. So I would definitely take a look at this. I think one of the things that I loved about it is that the mom was in the window in one of the pictures making banana pudding for the dad. So that was really cute. And so we read Amelia's Show and Tell Fiesta. This book was a bilingual book, so I read it to him in Spanish, and as well as I read it to him in English, and we really did appreciate that. And I'm trying to think, where was she from? I think that she was from Puerto Rico in this book. So again, another book, Puerto Rico. Of course, Cecilia Cruz. I love Cecilia Cruz. I grew up with Cecilia Cruz, watching her on Sesame Street as a little girl. I took that opportunity to go on YouTube and find some of the old Cecilia Cruz Sesame Street videos that I could remember as a kid, and I actually let my son watch one that I absolutely loved as a little girl, and I'll link that in the description box for you to take a look at if you want to share that memory with your child if you remember that. So we learned about Cuba. We learned about Havana. We learned about all the old-fashioned 50s cars. My son loved that. We did a notebooking project for Cecilia Cruz. So this was fun. Let's see what else. And again, we read Who is Pele? I love these who is Pele. I'm sorry. I love this series of books because the accuracy, they're pretty accurate. And anything that I find that's inaccurate, I always go look it up and I always make sure I give him the correct information. But we really did enjoy this as a read aloud. We read Marisol and Magdalena. And again, Pele is from Brazil. So you can get some unit study for Brazil out of that book as well. We read Marisol and Magdalena, these two little girls. Their parents are trying to get them to embrace their heritage. The little girls are from Panama. I would say that this book is geared towards probably 4th or 5th grade. I treated this as a read aloud. I just read it during lunchtime or whenever we had some downtime just to pick up a book and read. We also read Nuno Bonita. I love this book. And the reason why I love this book is because I have a little, well, she's not little. I have a niece who has beautiful dark skin. And she embraces her beautiful dark skin, and this book is beautiful. This little bunny is so intrigued by this little girl and her skin and her beauty, and then he keeps asking her, how do you get your skin this color? And so he tries to do all these different things. Well, first of all, she's telling him all these different things, how her skin got that color, which is really not the truth. And then of course, at one point in the book, Mama steps in and sets the record straight. So this is a really cute book. If you have a dark skinned child and that's struggling with their skin, and it's just positive, very positive book. So this is Nuno Bonita. And Schomburg, we read about the man Schomburg. And if you don't know, this is really a library. And this is probably the second time we've read this book. So we kind of just went through it really, really, really fast. Schomburg, he was just completely mesmerized by things in books and getting all this knowledge. And so he built a library. So the library is beautiful. It's world renowned. So I would definitely check this book out. I'm actually thinking about just investing in this book and adding it to our African American collection. And again, he is from Puerto Rico. So there's another book you can add to a studying about Puerto Rico. And again, Pele, King of Soccer. Excellent book. This book basically gives you a little background. It's a picture book, so it really kind of gives your little ones, and it's beautiful on the inside too. It really is. And so it gives you a little bit of a background about Pele as a child, his relationship with his dad, and it talks about Ginga, which is the Capoeira martial arts. I don't want to say it's martial arts, but okay, I guess you can say that. But Capoeira is a type of I don't want to say dance, but it is kind of like a dance where African slaves in the 16th century used to use, that they came up with this techniques to help evade from being captured in slavery. And so this was a lot of historical information. I mean, we really dug deep into Pele's life, and we dug deep into Capoeira. We probably dug a little bit deeper into him than we did Cecilia Cruz, because my son is real familiar with her. So this was an excellent book. And if you don't know, in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. They do not speak Spanish. And I think that is a misconception that a lot of people have, that they feel like all Brazilian, not Brazilian, but all Latin countries, they all speak Spanish. A majority of them do. But in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. And then we read for the third time, Islands Born. I mean, what can I say? If you haven't read this book about this beautiful little girl in here, she is missing the island. I believe it's the Dominican Republic. I might be wrong. I believe it's the Dominican Republic. We read this like at the beginning of the month, and this is like, I believe it's the Dominican Republic. I might be wrong, but beautiful book. Love it. This little girl is walking through her town. She's going down memory lane, asking, all the different people in her community about things that they remember from the island. Just a really fun book. I mean, beautiful characters, beautiful representation within the book of Afro-Latinos and of, just beautiful. So this was another favorite of ours. All right, so let's jump into what we read as a required reading for my son. Okay, so, all right. Now, Magic Misfits has been going around in the homeschool community. I'm just going to keep it 100% real with you. I did not like this at all. I don't know. It just didn't work well for me. But my son, he loved the audiobook. So, I let him listen to it. He listened to the whole thing and was completely mesmerized. This book lost me on like the second paragraph. I told a friend of mine, after that I couldn't tell you what was going on. But he enjoyed it. So the most important thing is that he enjoyed it. So we used this as an audio. We actually have book 2. I had checked it out. I'm not going to read book 2, but I will get him the audio book and he can listen to it. But I have no interest in reading this book. But he enjoyed it. I can't really tell you too much about it, but he liked it. So for required reading for him, he read El Rey Jakes is a Rock Star. This one. He read Haggis. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about these. Haggis and Tank Unleashed. Now there is a third book. Now let me tell you a little bit about this, and I did not even realize this before I had gotten these books. In the back of these books, I had started noticing when we read the first one that there was something funky going on with a lot of the words. This book, they use a lot of homophones in this book. There's language arts and grammar in these 2 books. And at the back of the books, I'm going to open one up, it asks the kids questions. Like, did they notice certain things? Really, really cool. And I'm actually going to renew these books again because I want to use these in our homeschool, and I'm actually thinking about just going ahead and purchasing these because they were so great. And there's a third book that we're waiting on to come in at the library that has not come in, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and order these from Amazon and add these to our literature-based learning. And of course, my son finished in my last video. He had finished book 4, he finished book 5, he finished book 6. There's no more books. I don't think there's any more books. I think I think there is one more book. But he, of course, what can I say? Super Turbo. You've seen these before in my videos. He loves Super Turbo. That was a good one. And I will tell you that the Haggis and Tank books had him cracking up. Stinkin Spike. We read, I think in my last video, I told you guys about, I was reading, he was reading Grace and Wallace. So I picked up the other 2 books in that collection, which is Stinkin Spike, about the pirate dog. He enjoyed these. He read these over the month of February. Race and Intolerance. Okay, so now we're getting into, before you get into that, Ed, he read Arrow Jake's Not a Chicken. And now, he started this, but he just told me he just wasn't feeling it. Flat Stanley's collection. I mean, I've heard some people like Flat Stanley, but for him, I don't know if it was just, I don't know what it was, but he just wasn't feeling it. So he got to like chapter 2 and he didn't bother it anymore, and I didn't push the issue. I don't make him read books that he doesn't like because I didn't like, that to happen to me. If a book bores me, I'm not going to comprehend it because I'm just like over it. We did read Racism and Intolerance. Now, I will tell you that this series of books, this is a series of books. And I happened to walk into the library and this one was available. And I got this one and I was really, really shocked at how well he understood what was going on in this book. To the point where we were watching, I don't know what we was watching. No, we was reading a book. And I think it was the book, I'll show you the book, but it was the book, it was this book. We were reading Strictly Elephants. We had read this book and then we started reading Strictly Elephants. By the way, Serena, thank you. Serena from Over Falco Family, she did a library haul video, and this book was featured in it, and I grabbed it from the library. So anyway, so we had read this book, and then we read this book, and he instantly said, "Mom, they're not being very tolerant." And I was like, okay. So very good book for teaching about racism and intolerance. It's done in a very kid-friendly way, and my son was able to identify right away what was going on in this book. And so good book. Moving on, make sure I didn't miss anything. Another book from Serena that she suggested, Hank's Big Day. I like this book, but then I didn't like this book. And I think one of the reasons why I did not like this book, because I felt like the main character, who is a brown child in the book, I felt like the person that they used to be influential, I felt like maybe they should have chose a different person. But I mean, that's just me. But the book was a good book, but I just felt like there was just one part in it that I just kind of struggled with. But that's just my personal opinion, okay? I mean, it's not that I had a big problem with it. It was just a personal preference of my own. So, but it's a cute book. This is called Hank's Big Day. So, and I will also link Serena's from the Falco Company. I'll link her video that she did library haul, so you can see all the rest of the books that she suggested, because the next few books are books from her haul. I got this one, Because You Are My Teacher. This is a very good book. And I just showed you Strictly No Elephants. This is about a book where, this is not a book, this is about an elephant and his owner, who they're not allowed to go to a club meeting. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, so check that one out. And The Day You Begin. Oh my gosh. I love this book. This is one that's going to be on the to buy list. This book is just beautiful. I love the storyline in it. I mean, it just, what can I say? This little girl is struggling with, maybe, she may be treated like, like she won't be able to fit in, or people may not like her. And then all these different questions and all these different things that, go on in her mind. And sometimes it makes me wonder, do these things really go on in kids' mind? And probably so. But this was a really good book about self-acceptance, and about children learning to accept everyone for their differences. This was a very good book. Of course, the book Itch. This is a favorite. This book comes in this house at least 3 or 4 times a year. This is about the Harlem's bookstore, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because I want you to check this out and see what it's all about. But this is a very good book. Hidden Figures. We love Hidden Figures. And I'm actually going to let my son watch the movie because he was really intrigued by this book. And I actually have the Hidden Figures novel that we are going to be doing for the month of March, for our Women's History Month. And so we'll be reading the junior novel to this, and I will be letting him watch the Hidden Figures movie. So we're going to jump into Ella Fitzgerald. If you follow me over on Instagram, you notice that I did Squilt Live session, and one of the Squilt Live sessions, if you have not checked out Squilt Live, it's a live music lessons with the instructor. It's a cool way of fitting music in if you're a homeschool parent. So we did Ella Fitzgerald, love this one. We did Skit Skat Raggedy Cat. We did a Tisket a Tasket, and he really liked this because in the Squilt Live, she actually presented a Tisket a Tasket in the lesson, and he was instantly just intrigued by it. We did Ella Fitzgerald, Queen of Jazz. Love this book because you find out a little history in this book that I did not know. So this is a really good book for you to check out. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm just going to tell you, if you don't know who her best friend was, you will find out in this book. Harlem's Little Blackbird. This book kind of touched me because this is the story about Florence Mills, and my son was like, well, mommy, you know, in the back of the book they tell you that they have no recordings of her, they have no sound recordings of her, so nobody knows what her voice sounds like except for people who actually got a chance to hear her voice. And he was really upset because he really wanted to know what her voice sounded like. And so this was a very beautiful book. Very well written about Florence Mills. And you know, check this out if you're looking for a character, I don't want to say a character, but if you're looking for an influential African American that, you know, does not fit the stereotypical black history of Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass. I mean, reach outside the box, people. We did Duke Ellington because, again, we did school live session on Duke Ellington, and because he chose Duke Ellington, he wanted to know more about Duke Ellington. And for 2 weeks, all I listened to for 2 weeks was music by Duke Ellington. So we had a very jazzy good time for 2 weeks. The Patchwork Path. This is a really good book. About the little girl. You know what, I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to go and check these books out, and so you can find out for yourself. This is a very good book. I personally didn't have an issue reading it to my son. My son is acquainted with slavery. I'll show you a couple pictures in here. And so I wasn't nothing in here was too harsh for him that I felt like he didn't already know. Between the Lines, beautiful book. I'm going to go ahead and show you some pictures in here so you can take a look at. This is another good book about a football player. Definitely check this one out. Don't want to spoil it for you. So there you have it. That was our book haul for the month of February. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If you are looking for books that are for African Americans, or looking for books for Black history, I encourage you, again, to step outside of the box and look for books that are not your traditional people. And again, those people that normally get studied every single year are Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, George Washington Carver, Harriet Tubman. I mean, look for people like Katherine Johnson, you know, Florence Mills, like we studied. I mean, look for other influential African American or Afro-Latinos, or, you know, that are outside of that comfort box for your children. Also, just, you know, there is more to African American history besides slavery and the civil rights movement. African Americans have been influential, as well as African heroes. We're flipping through books like, I'm gonna grab this one, The Black Stars. We have almost all of these, and we went through these books and we look for people that we did not know about, and you can find these books at your local library. So if you're a mom and you want to read about somebody else, grab you one of these books, flip it over, because all the people that are going to be in this book are in here, and start digging and finding more information out about other people besides the traditional people that tend to be the go-to for Black History Month. Black History, again, in our home is 365 days a year, 7 days a week. In our home, we don't use the month of February as a special month just to celebrate Black History Month, and then the rest of the year we do nothing. It doesn't work like that here in this house. So that is our haul for this month. Next month we are going to be doing influential. Let's see. We're going to be doing. How I'm going to say it. We're going to be doing influential African American women, as well as African women in history. We will also touch base on some other women, but my focus is going to be dynamic, influential African and African American women in history. So that's it for today. Again, if you don't follow us on Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and link that in the description box. You can go ahead and follow us over there. Check us out on Little Learner and Mom's Facebook page. And until the next time, talk to you guys later. Bye.